In 1947, a wounded Soviet sergeant sat in a hospital bed and started sketching. He had no formal engineering degree, no laboratory, no team. What he had was a problem and a very clear idea of how to solve it. His name was Mikhail Kalashnikov. The rifle he designed in that hospital never stopped being produced. It ended up on the flag of a nation, on coins, in the hands of armies across 6 continents. Today, the factory that built it controls 95% of all small arms made in Russia. It has been operating since 1807, armed the Imperial Russian Army, survived 2 world wars, outlasted the Soviet Union, and is still delivering weapons to active war zones right now. This is not just the story of one rifle. This is the story of the most complete small arms arsenal ever built by a single manufacturer. Every pistol, every assault rifle, every sniper rifle, every shotgun, every submachine gun. The full Kalashnikov Concern arsenal. Chapter 1: The gun that changed everything. The AK-47 entered Soviet service in 1947. Caliber 7.62 by 39 millimeters. Gas-operated rotating bolt, stamped steel receiver on the earliest models, then milled steel on the Type 2 and Type 3 variants produced through the 1950s. The milled receiver was stronger but expensive and slow to manufacture. The original design weighed around 4.3 kilograms loaded. It was not the most accurate rifle of its era. That was never the point. The point was that it worked. In sand, in mud, in Arctic cold, after being submerged in a river. Soviet Army trials confirmed what the designers had suspected. This rifle could be fielded by conscript soldiers with minimal training and kept running with almost no maintenance. The USSR began licensing production to Allied states almost immediately. Poland, East Germany, Hungary, China, Egypt, Yugoslavia. The design spread faster than any other firearm in history. Estimated total production across all manufacturers, over 100 million units. The stamped receiver that proved too fragile on early models was the key to the next step. In 1959, Kalashnikov and his team solved the manufacturing problem and produced the AKM, the modernized Kalashnikov. Same caliber, same operating system. Lighter by nearly a kilogram, far cheaper and faster to produce. The AKM introduced a slanted muzzle brake to reduce climb during automatic fire. It became the standard Soviet infantry rifle and the base platform for dozens of licensed and unlicensed copies worldwide. When people picture an AK, they are almost always picturing the AKM. That same muzzle brake shaped every generation that followed. By the late 1960s, American forces in Vietnam were fielding the M16 in 5.56 millimeter. Smaller cartridge, higher velocity, lighter ammunition load. Soviet military analysts took note. The response came in 1974. The AK-74. Same Kalashnikov operating system, redesigned around a new 5.45 by 39 millimeter cartridge. Lower recoil, flatter trajectory, a distinctive double-baffle muzzle brake. The AK-74 became the standard Soviet rifle for the Afghan War. Its performance in that conflict, against terrain and enemy forces that punished unreliable weapons, confirmed the design. The AK-74 added a folding metal stock for paratroopers and vehicle crews. Then came the AK-74U, a carbine version with a barrel under 200 millimeters, used by KGB agents, tank crews, and special operations units. Small enough to conceal, capable enough to fight. The AK-74U became a defining image of the Afghan campaign. Chapter 2: The Export Arsenal and the Modern AK. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the factory at Izhevsk faced a different kind of war: survival in a free market. Military contracts dried up. The solution was the AK-100 series, launched in the mid-1990s. 5 variants built on the same modernized platform, each targeting a different export market. The AK-101 chambered in 5.56 NATO for customers wanting Western-compatible ammunition. The AK-102A, compact version of the same. The AK-103 in 7.62 by 39, the classic Soviet caliber, for customers who already had AKM infrastructure. The AK-104, the compact AK-103, the AK-105, a shortened AK-74 variant. Each rifle had a polymer folding stock and improved ergonomics over the original designs. The AK-103 became one of the best-selling export assault rifles of the late 1990s and 2000s. Venezuela, India, Libya, Algeria. The Kalashnikov design kept moving. 2 decades later came the most significant redesign in the AK's history. In 2018, the Russian military officially adopted the AK-12 as its standard service rifle. The AK-12 looks like an AK, but handles like a modern combat system. Full-length Picatinny rail on top, additional rails on the handguard, adjustable stock with multiple cheek riser positions, improved trigger, last round bolt hold open on some variants. Caliber 5.45 by 39 mm. The AK-12C is the compact version. The AK-12SC is a short compact variant for vehicle crews and close protection units. Running alongside it is the AK-15, structurally identical to the AK-12, but chambered in 7.62 by 39. The AK-15C and AK-15SC follow the same compact logic. In 2025, Kalashnikov presented the AK-15K and AK-15SK, further shortened versions described as optimized for urban combat. Both were confirmed as being used in the current war in Ukraine. The AK-19 is the NATO export variant, chambered in 5.56, designed for countries transitioning away from Soviet-caliber weapons without abandoning the AK platform. Parallel to the AK-12 family runs the AK-200 series, a group of export-focused variants in multiple calibers, including the AK-203, which India is currently producing under license in a multi-billion-dollar agreement with Kalashnikov Concern. Then there is the AK-308, chambered in .308 Winchester, designed for longer-range engagements and marketed to units that need precision at distances beyond what the 5.45 and 7.62 intermediate cartridges can reliably deliver. The AN-94 Abakan deserves its own mention. This was the rifle that nearly replaced the AK-74 entirely. The AN-94 fires its first 2 rounds in a hyperburst at 1,800 rounds per minute before cycling to a lower automatic rate. The mechanism is extraordinarily complex, and the accuracy gains at range were real, but the weapon was too expensive and too maintenance-intensive for mass adoption. It remains in limited use with Russian special forces. The AK-400 followed a similar path. A premium platform for special operators, high specifications, limited production. Chapter 3: Squad Fire, the RPK and the machine guns. Every infantry squad needs a weapon that can sustain fire longer than a rifle. In 1961, Kalashnikov answered that requirement with the RPK, Ruchnoy Pulemyot Kalashnikova, the Kalashnikov light machine gun. The RPK shares 80% of its components with the AKM. Same bolt, same trigger group, same gas system. What changed was the barrel, made longer and heavier for sustained fire, and the bipod folding under the front of the weapon. Standard magazine capacity was 40 rounds, with a 75-round drum available. The RPK kept the squad's firepower doctrine simple. One training program, one manual, interchangeable parts. Logistics in the field became significantly simpler. When the AK-74 came in 1974, the RPK-74 followed. Same logic applied to the smaller 5.45 cartridge. Lighter ammunition, higher rate of sustained fire for the same carried weight. In 2018, alongside the AK-12, Kalashnikov introduced the RPK-16. Modern rail system, quick-change barrel, adjustable stock. The RPK-16 accepts standard AK-12 magazines, which means a squad equipped with both weapons shares the same ammunition and the same basic operating knowledge. Then, in 2025, came the RPL-7, a belt-fed light machine gun in 7.62 by 39 mm, the first belt-fed weapon in the Kalashnikov light machine gun line. It was presented to Russian media alongside the AK-15K and AK-15SK at the same event. The RPL-7 prioritizes firepower volume for units that need more sustained output than a drum magazine can provide. The belt feed is a significant departure from the standard Kalashnikov doctrine of magazine-fed simplicity, reflecting the lessons of sustained combat in Ukraine. Chapter 4, Close and Quiet, Submachine Guns, Pistols, and Special Weapons. Not every engagement happens at rifle range. In 1996, Kalashnikov released the PP-19 Bizon, a submachine gun with a design decision unlike anything else in the Russian catalog. The magazine was a helical cylinder running beneath the barrel, holding 64 rounds of 9 by 18 mm Makarov ammunition. The helical format kept the overall length compact, while maintaining a significant capacity advantage over any box magazine. The Bizon shared 60% of its components with the AK-74U, which simplified production and maintenance. It was adopted by Russian Interior Ministry forces and police units. In 2004, a more conventional design entered service. The PP-1901 Vityaz SN, chambered in 9 by 19 parabellum. The Vityaz uses a standard box magazine, folding stock, and operates on a simplified blowback system. It was adopted by the FSB, Russian police, and several internal security units. More compact than the Bizon, easier to train with, and firing a cartridge with better terminal performance at distance. The most recent submachine gun from Kalashnikov is the PPK-20, introduced in 2021. It combines the ergonomics and rail system of the AK-12 with a subcompact body optimized for close-range work. Caliber 9 by 19 parabellum. The PPK-20 was designed specifically for vehicle crews, pilots, and support personnel who need a weapon smaller than a rifle but more capable than a pistol. Two special-purpose weapons sit outside the standard caliber lineup entirely. The OTS-14 Groza is a bullpup assault rifle chambered in 9 by 39 mm subsonic, a cartridge engineered to suppress cleanly. The Groza is compact, shoulder-fired, and produces minimal sound signature with a suppressor attached. It was issued to Spetsnaz units for operations where noise discipline was a mission requirement. The MA Compact, a micro-assault rifle, extends the same logic. An ultra-short platform for vehicle operators and close protection details who need a long gun option in spaces where a standard rifle cannot fit. The pistol line begins with a weapon that defined Soviet sidearm doctrine for 40 years. The Makarov PM entered service in 1951, chambered in 9 by 18 mm, a cartridge slightly less powerful than the Western 9 by 19 parabellum, but adequate for military and police use. The Makarov is a straight blowback design with no separate barrel bushing, no tilting barrel, no complex lockwork. Reliable, easy to field strip, standard issue through the Cold War and into the 1990s. The PMM, a modernized variant, added a higher capacity magazine and updated ammunition compatibility. Running alongside the Makarov in certain roles was the PSM, introduced in 1973. The PSM is exceptionally flat, chambered in 5.45 by 18 mm. It was designed for KGB officers and senior military personnel who needed a concealable weapon. The slim profile was specifically intended to pass more easily through early security screenings. The PB, another Makarov derivative, integrated a two-part suppressor into the design. It was issued to Soviet special forces and intelligence units for operations requiring sound discipline. The Yarygin Pya Grosh replaced the Makarov in frontline Russian military service in 2003. Chambered in 9 by 19 parabellum, double action, with an 18-round magazine. The switch to the more powerful Western standard cartridge acknowledged what decades of field reports had confirmed. The 9 by 19 offered better performance against modern body armor and at extended pistol ranges. The PY was a significant departure from the Makarov doctrine: larger, heavier, more capable. The most recent generation is the Lebedev family. The PL-14, introduced around 2015, was a competition entry for a new Russian military pistol. Low-bore axis, ergonomics benchmarked against Western designs, a significant departure from the traditional Russian pistol aesthetic. The PL-15 is the production version, adopted by the FSB and selected Special Forces units. The PLK is the compact variant. These are contemporary designs by any global standard, competing directly with Glock and SIG in terms of ergonomics and capability. Chapter 5. Precision and Range. The Dragunov Legacy. In 1963, another designer at the Izhevsk factory produced a rifle that would define Soviet sniper doctrine for the next 6 decades. Yevgeny Dragunov, not Kalashnikov, but working in the same facility, created the SVD, Sniperskaya Vintovka Dragunova. Semi-automatic, gas-operated, chambered in 7.62 by 54 mm rimmed. The same cartridge the Imperial Russian Army had used since the 1890s. The SVD was not a precision sniper rifle in the Western sense. It was a squad support weapon, intended to engage targets at ranges beyond the standard infantry rifle. Soviet doctrine called for 1 SVD per rifle platoon, used to suppress enemy snipers, eliminate crew-served weapon teams, and engage targets that massed AK fire could not reach. The design was efficient: long gas system, short stroke piston, a skeletonized wooden stock that kept weight down. It became one of the most recognized military rifles in the world. The SVD family expanded over the following decades. The SVDS replaced the original wooden stock with a folding tubular metal stock, allowing paratroopers and vehicle crews to carry the weapon in confined spaces without sacrificing barrel length. The SVU went further, a bullpup reconfiguration that moved the action behind the trigger group, shortening the overall length while keeping the original barrel intact. The SVDM, introduced in 2018, added a Picatinny rail for modern optics, a new muzzle device, and an adjustable cheek piece. It is the current production standard for Russian forces. The SVK is a designated marksman rifle in development, intended to push precision engagement range beyond the SVD's effective distance. The SV-99 is a bolt-action rifle in .22 long rifle, used for training snipers at reduced cost and for low-signature operations requiring absolute sound suppression. From the same factory, also came a competing design submitted to the original 1959 Soviet sniper rifle program, a gas-operated precision rifle influenced by AK-47 geometry. The Dragunov design was selected over it, but the factory's submission illustrates how deeply a single operating philosophy shaped everything produced within those walls. Chapter 6. The Saiga Line and the Civilian Arsenal. After the Soviet Union collapsed and military contracts fell away, the factory at Izhevsk needed new revenue streams. The solution was the Saiga, a semi-automatic shotgun built on the AK receiver and operating system. The Saiga-12 entered production in the early 1990s, chambered in 12-gauge, fed from a detachable box magazine. It handled exactly like an AK because mechanically it was an AK, scaled up for shotgun shells. Hunters and sporting shooters outside Russia recognized something important. This was a combat-capable shotgun that could be configured and maintained by anyone already familiar with Kalashnikov mechanics. The Saiga 12K shortened the barrel and added a folding stock. The Saiga 12S introduced a pistol grip configuration. The Saiga 12K in versions 030 and 033 offered different furniture configurations. The Saiga 20 and Saiga 410 extended the line to 20-gauge and .410 bore for smaller game hunting. The Saiga MK in .223 Remington and 5.45 by 39, along with the Saiga MK 5.45 by 39 in versions 030 and 033, brought the format to rifle-caliber sporting shooters. For military and law enforcement, the KSK is a 12-gauge combat shotgun derived directly from the Saiga 12. The Saiga PPK-20 and Saiga AKSU are compact variants that blur the line between shotgun and carbine. The Saiga LOT is a sporting competition variant. From the Baikal brand, the civilian arm of Kalashnikov Concern, come the MP-155 Tactical and MP-135 Tactical semi-automatic shotguns marketed to Western sporting customers before sanctions interrupted those export channels. The TR-3 is a pump-action entry in the civilian line. The Tiger, in versions Tiger version 01, Tiger version 02, Tiger version 05, and Tiger .308, is a semi-automatic hunting rifle derived directly from the SVD. The Baikal 145 Loss and the MR 1 Round Out, the entry-level hunting catalog. These were the weapons the factory produced to survive the 1990s. Many of them became highly sought after in American and European sporting markets before import restrictions cut off supply after 2014 and again after 2022. From a weapons factory founded by Tsar Alexander I in 1807, through the Napoleonic Wars, through 2 world wars, through the Cold War, through the collapse of the Soviet Union, and into active combat in Ukraine today, the factory at Izhevsk has never stopped producing. It has put weapons into the hands of more soldiers than any other manufacturer on Earth. The AK family alone accounts for an estimated 72 million rifles in global circulation. The full catalog spans muskets, revolvers, pistols, submachine guns, assault rifles, light machine guns, sniper rifles, and shotguns. 95% of all small arms manufactured in Russia come from this single concern. The Kalashnikov name was added in 2013. The work began 2 centuries before that. Whatever changes in the global arms industry, one thing has remained constant for more than 200 years. Somewhere in the Ural Mountains, the factory at Izhevsk is still running.